Picture this, a cold, gray morning in Cleveland, Ohio, the kind that makes you want to stay in bed, but inside the massive warehouse of Apex Motors, the air's so thick with tension you could cut it with a wrench. Lena Carter, the only black woman mechanic in a sea of buttoned-up engineers, stands in the corner, her calloused hands steady, her eyes locked on the smug face of Victor Hayes, Apex's hotshot chief engineer. Victor, in his crisp navy suit, flashes a grin that's more snake than human, and says loud enough for the whole warehouse to hear, "Lena, if you can fix this busted prototype engine something my Ivy League team couldn't do, I'll sign you to a $250,000 contract, and hell, I'll propose to you right here." The room erupts in laughter, sharp and cruel, like a pack of hyenas circling prey. Now, Lena's no stranger to being underestimated. She grew up in a tiny garage on Cleveland's east side, fixing cars for neighbors who couldn't afford dealerships, her hands stained with grease since she was a kid, learning from her dad, who always said, "Skill don't care about your degree or your skin." But this was personal. Victor wasn't just mocking her, was streaming it live on the company's internal feed, turning her into a punchline for clicks. Lena's heart pounded, not from fear, but from a fire she felt deep in her gut, thinking of her 15-year-old son, Malik, who'd already caught flack at school from kids whose parents worked at Apex. She looked Victor dead in the eye and said, "I'm in." 2 words, calm as a summer breeze, but they hit like a thunderclap. That night, Lena sat on her apartment's tiny balcony, the city lights flickering like her own doubts. She thought of her late husband, Jamal, gone 5 years from a hit-and-run, his voice still echoing in her head. "Don't let him dim your light, Lena." She knew this wasn't just about fixing an engine, it was about proving she belonged, for Malik, for herself, for every underdog who'd been laughed out of a room. But as she dove into the prototype, something felt off. The fuel regulator had a tiny, deliberate scratch, the kind you'd miss unless you lived and breathed engines like she did. Then she found it. 2 more parts, tampered with, rigged to fail. This wasn't a glitch, it was sabotage, and it reeked of someone with serious know-how. Lena's blood ran cold, but her mind raced. She called up Marcus Reed, a retired Apex engineer who'd always had her back, a guy who saw through Victor's polished ego from day one. Marcus showed up at her garage, his weathered face grim as she showed him the parts. "Lena," he said, voice low, "I saw this kind of thing years ago. Projects led by women, by folks like you, kept failing, and Victor always came out on top, promotions, bonuses, you name it. That's when Dr. Evelyn Shaw, a sharp-eyed sabotage investigator who'd caught Victor's smug radio interview bashing Lena, walked into her life. Evelyn laid out a dossier that made Lena's stomach churn. 6 projects in 4 years, all led by women or minorities, tanked by technical errors, with Victor's fingerprints all over the aftermath. From that moment, Lena wasn't just fighting for herself, she was fighting a system. She and Evelyn worked late nights, documenting every tampered bolt, every snide comment Victor posted in his Lena's Folly chat group, where his cronies like his assistant, Nate, tossed barbs like, "Bet she's still figuring out which end of the wrench to hold." Malik, bless his heart, helped too, saving screenshots, his teenage anger turning to purpose as he said, "Mom, we're gonna bury these jerks." Lena kept her cool, knowing Victor's arrogance was his Achilles heel. He thought she'd crack under the taunts, but every cruel jab just sharpened her focus. The big day came in Apex's packed auditorium, the air buzzing like a live wire. Victor stood center stage, smirking, phone in hand, ready to film Lena's failure. She walked in, steady as a rock, carrying a briefcase stuffed with evidence and the rebuilt engine behind her. The crowd hushed as she spoke, voice clear, no tremble. "Before I start this engine, y'all need to know why it failed in the first place." Victor scoffed. "What? Blaming us for your screw-up?" But Lena didn't flinch. She projected images of the sabotage parts, each one a dagger to Victor's ego, and said, "This wasn't an accident. Someone wanted this project dead." Evelyn stepped up, her voice cutting through the murmurs. "I've confirmed deliberate sabotage, and it's part of a pattern targeting anyone who doesn't fit Victor's mold." The room froze as Lena hit the engine's start button. It roared to life, smooth, powerful, better than ever. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Victor's face went white, his smirk gone like it had been slapped off. Then Marcus dropped the final bomb, revealing memos tying Victor to years of rigged failures. The CEO, Margaret Voss, stormed in, her voice ice-cold. "Victor, you're done. You betrayed this company, and you'll answer for it." As security escorted him out, Victor tried one last desperate jab. "Lena, don't forget my offer, marry me, right?" Lena smiled, cool as ever, and said, "Victor, I'd rather keep my dignity than trade it for your sorry promises." The crowd roared, applause drowning out his pathetic exit. Weeks later, Lena stood in her new office as Apex's head of innovation, working with Evelyn to rewrite the company's rules, making sure talent, not prejudice, called the shots. Her story hit the news, inspiring folks nationwide, and Malik? He landed a scholarship to study engineering, carrying her fire forward. Victor? He's facing charges. His career is dead as that broken engine. Lena's fight wasn't just for her, it was for every underdog who's ever been told they don't belong. So what do you think? Would you have stood up like Lena, knowing the odds? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about what justice really means, and share this if it hit you as hard as it hit me.